Good evening, and welcome to a Fireside Chat. This is your host, Lance White. Tonight's guest is George E. Lockett, also known as Healer George. From England, he's an internationally renowned spiritual distant healer and life coach. Healer George gives many examples of transformation that can take place through self-knowledge and personal growth in his groundbreaking work, A Journey into the Self. It takes the reader into their imagination and the depths of their being on a journey of self-realization. So let's welcome Healer George to the show now. Hi, George. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. It's lovely to hear your voice.
I guess where we can start is find out how you began to realize that you had healing abilities.
Right. Unfortunately, you're very faint. I'm having trouble hearing what you're saying.
Oh.
I don't know if you could just repeat that question.
When did you first realize you had healing abilities?
Right. My healing ability, I feel, comes from the fact that I've studied yoga and meditation for about 35 years. I started my spiritual journey when I went out to Switzerland to study under Maharishi Mahesh Yogi and study transcendental meditation, and I practiced that for the following 30 years, and then I went on a recluse sort of life in the Snowdonia National Park here, where I'm currently living in North Wales, and for the last 7 years I've been traveling around the Mind, Body, Spirit fairs throughout the whole of the UK, and for the last 2 years internationally as well, doing hands-on healing on different people and having tremendous results in the cures that have come about from the healing that I've done on them.
It sounds like you had kind of a spiritual awakening.
Very much so, yeah. Yes, indeed. Although I would say it's been a slow awakening over the 30-odd years, but I find it grows exponentially, as it were, and I've got my book, A Journey into the Self, the multidimensional nature of being human. I wrote that because I've been looking within myself for this 30-year period, and I realized that what I'm seeing within myself I hadn't seen written down anywhere else, so I decided to write my own book to describe what I was seeing. And the human body is so multidimensional, it's amazing. So what I've tried to do is to describe a thread at a time, different aspects of being a human being, and by a series of 80 to 100 articles, I describe, some of the aspects of being human, and that by weaving these threads within each other, it creates like a tapestry that you can really gain a deeper understanding of who and what you are.
From your experience, what have you learned is the source of illness and disease?
Right. From my experience,
there's many sources, I'm sure, but some of the sources that you found. In other words, illness doesn't really begin outside of ourselves, does it?
Well, I'm a firm believer that a lot of illness comes from broken dreams, as it were. If you're true to yourself, if you look within yourself and realize your dreams, I think you've got a much better chance of staying healthy. I think if you start looking outside of yourself for the answers to life, I think that is when you really, lose the plot, as it were. And so I think everyone needs some sort of spiritual practice where they can recenter their energies within themselves and reconnect to their own source energy, and, if you like, be themselves as well, and on a level of being. And every single person in the world is unique. We all have unique qualities, and really, you shouldn't be copying someone else's life in a magazine you might read or a TV program you watch. You should really honor your own core energy and really display who and what you are.
What is distant healing, and how does that work?
Distant healing is something that I practice a lot over my website, and I mean, I could be fairly unique in the way I do distant healing, because I have the ability to take my spirit out of my body and travel anywhere in the universe.
Wow.
And most nights I have out-of-body experiences and astral traveling and things like that. And really, it's a very simple process. I mean, for instance, most people can move their awareness from their head down to their big toe and become aware of their big toe. That's quite easy, because that, you choose to be your physical body. Now, in deep meditation, you realize that who you really are is actually the whole universe, and the whole universe comes to a point, within you, and your body, if you like, is a hologram of the whole universe being reflected through you, and when you realize that who you truly are is the whole universe, then your whole body becomes the universe. And in that same effortless way, you can move your awareness from your head to your big toe. If you choose to make your body the universe and take away all the boundaries, then just for your own intention, you can take your awareness anywhere in the world. And this is how I do the distant healing. I if you like, go into myself in meditation, and if you like, join that quantum vacuum. Quantum physics talks about an underlying emptiness, like a void, that underlies physical reality. But that void is everywhere in the universe. It's like the junction point between all the different realities, and and by joining that, what I mean transcend your own physical body, which is basically going down through the organs, down through the cells, down through the molecules, down through the atoms, going beyond physical creation into your light body, and beyond the light itself into, the underlying, if you like, emptiness or void. But that empty void is actually full of potential energy, full of potentiality, and it's that emptiness that is the eternal continuum that never ever changes. Or some people call it God. It doesn't really matter what word you give it, but it's that underlying junction point that connects and coordinates everything in the universe. That and is the cause of synchronicity. I think it's the field which telepathic thoughts travel through instantly. Over great distances of thousands of miles, and it's that vacuum, or that underlying field, what I'm using when I'm doing the distant healing. I take my awareness out of myself and go into the body of the person I'm doing the healing, and almost heal them from the inside out. I get into their source energy, and then I may adjust their light body, because it's really the person's energy body, the aura. If you put an EEG machine on the head, you can measure the electrical activity of your brainwaves. But where there's electricity, there's also magnetism. So your conscious awareness is like an electromagnetic field that permeates through the physical matter, and it's that field of energy is like the energy blueprint that your DNA interprets to tell each cell in your body how to grow and how to be. So most people get sick when they're feeling run down, and but if you are if you keep your energies charged up by some form of spiritual practice, then you have a very strong energy blueprint, and your body tends to be healthy naturally.
How does the light body relate to what people call the soul?
Right. Well, I would say your soul is much nearer that quantum vacuum, the non-changing aspect of yourself. For instance, if you can imagine throughout your life, from being a small baby to a toddler to a teenager to an adult, there's an aspect of who you are that's always stays the same, that's never ever changed.
Yeah.
And it's that aspect I'm talking about here. It's that soul energy is that eternal continuum that underlies physical reality. And And what you find is that source energy, the underlying vacuum, is passive until you put your conscious awareness on it. But through your dreams, through your passion, through your desire, you turn consciousness back on itself, and you actually look into yourself and see the underlying vacuum. And if you put desires and passions and dreams into that silence, you find that you stimulate and start stirring that silence, and what comes out of the silence is light. And the way the physical universe is created is the light comes out as a wave, and then when it hits something, if you look at detailed quantum physics, you find that the light comes out of a wave, and when it hits something, it then creates a particle and an antiparticle. So from the oneness, the light comes out, and then you get duality, all the pairs of opposites, the up, down, the left, right, here, and the good, the bad, the hot and cold, and all the different things, and it's these microparticles that then start to form the nucleus of the atoms. The positively charged ones become the nucleus of the atom, the negative ones become the electrons going around the atoms, and it's from your light body, from this holographic image, of the whole universe coming through the field of silence, you actually start to build your physical body, and then from the atoms it builds to the molecules, it builds to the atoms, to the cells, it builds to the organs, and makes a whole of who you are, and your energy shines through from almost like a laser shining through a hologram. When you look out through your body, your vision is colored by all the different things that your consciousness experiences as it shines through your body. And each person sees the same reality, but I would say that every single person sees reality from a different perspective. And it's very much like the analogy of a hologram. If you take a holographic image of a three-dimensional object and cut it into 100 pieces and then shine a laser through any one piece, you still see the whole image, but every piece will give you a slightly different perspective of that whole. And I see human consciousness as working in that way.
Interesting. I have now about a dozen questions based on what you just said. One thing that I'm
a very unique way of looking at the world, I'm afraid.
I'll have to get your book. Many people are talking about a shift in consciousness, and that we're in a process now of moving out of the physical body into our light bodies. Is that something that you're aware of and work with, an idea that you work with?
Yes, indeed. I've written articles about this, and I compare it very much with computer science. If you can imagine a computer 50 years ago, it took up a whole building. And, what's happened over the last 50 years is that humans have discovered ways of passing information through smaller and smaller levels of matter. And as it goes smaller and smaller, I mean, computers are almost coming down to the level of light now, and telecommunications is operating, by transmitting light from one source to another, and the same with human consciousness. Our awareness is becoming more and more refined. So rather than thinking, within the brain now, we're actually the whole body is becoming a whole being, as it were, and our awareness is thinking much more in the energy and the light body that permeates the physical reality, and also we're connected. Every one's consciousness is connected to the same source energy, and that source energy contains the Akashic record of everyone else's experience. So you've also got the situation where, there's an experiment where if you teach a monkey on one isolated island how to do a special trick, you find that all the monkeys, all over the world know how to do that. It gets into the group consciousness. And this conscious shift that you're talking about is people becoming spiritually developed, and it's as though the energy is building, and a little like putting energy in a pan of corn. You can heat a pan of corn to a certain point, and then you find individual pieces of corn start to pop. And then very soon the whole pan just starts popping because, the consciousness has got to that level. And human consciousness is coming to the point now where we're just all starting to pop and realizing that we're all one. We're not individuals. We're all part of this universal life force.
Wow. You mentioned that you have the ability to leave your body, and I'm wondering what if you've been able to explore. Are you able to visit higher dimensions or other realms, or what's out there?
Right. Okay. Well, I'm very aware these days of my non-physical helpers coming around me. The angels and guides and psychic surgeons, and there's lots and lots of non-physical entities. You could. Quite often people pick them up on their cameras as all floating around. For a few years now, I've had the problem of, as I walk down the street, that street lights go off as I walk under them, and which is a funny phenomenon. You may just think it's a fault with that light, but I can get 3 on the run to go off one after the other, which is more than a coincidence. And what I have been told is that these non-physical entities attach themselves to these discharge lamps, and you might call them ghosts or whatever, or plasma attaching itself to the light. And I have heard that on some websites they say that these non-physical entities charge themselves up on these discharge lights, and then someone walks under the light with a strong energy field that they have to leave, and as they detach themselves from the light, it actually knocks the light out for a few minutes, and quite often I find that happening all the time to me. And so there's quite a lot going on. I mean, people talk about aliens, but when you realize that you are the whole universe, then actually nothing out there is alien to you. And everything can, because like telepathy, you can send a thought from here to Australia, from New York to Australia, or anywhere around the world, and it's instantly there. There's no time delay whatsoever.
Wow.
There's no telecommunications involved. It's just instant, And when I go off astral traveling, I can travel to another planet in the universe and things like that. And I'm sure aliens can do the same. They can travel here and give us messages, and the whole universe is so multidimensional, and yet it's so close. It's all a part of yourself, and the reality of it is because because your body is actually the whole universe, you don't actually have to travel there. So when you take your awareness from your head down to your big toe, you don't actually go from your head to your big toe. You don't travel there. You just become aware of a different aspect of who you are. And, it's instantaneous. And, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. As much as it can in this period of time. Do you feel that, do we all have angels and guides that help us through this life?
Well, very much so. I think most people can think of a time when they might hear a voice, just when they're in a position of danger. I know I've had it happen with me on the M25 traveling around London, where I've been going up a hill and, in the back lane at 70 miles an hour, and just before I got to the top of the hill, I got the word stop, and I said, I said to myself, I can't stop in the fast lane, for no reason at all. But I did start slowing down, and as I went over the top of the hill, there'd been an accident, and the cars were just flying everywhere. And because I'd slowed down as I was coming up to the top of the hill, I was able to still control the car, and I actually found a gap between the third lane and the crash barriers, and I actually passed 3 cars before I could stop, and yet my car was one of the few that wasn't written off that day. And it was only because I got a message, before I got to the top of the hill, and I actually, got my speed down by at least 20 or 30 miles before I got over the top of the hill. But I wasn't killed that day. So that's what I mean by getting help from angels. It's just a voice or a feeling or whatever. But they have a way of getting their message through to you.
Wow. The spiritual masters have all said something similar, that with this world that we live in is an illusion. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, very much so, because, the creative aspect is within the silence. It is within your core energy, that quantum vacuum. By looking within yourself, well, what you do when you turn your consciousness back on yourself and look within yourself, if you look at a plant or a leaf of a cabbage or something like that, you see intelligence displayed, don't you, in every living thing. It grows in an orderly, intelligent way. So the beauty of human consciousness is we can turn that intelligence back on itself. And when you turn intelligence back on itself, it becomes to know itself. And when it knows itself, it realizes it's got a choice. And then intelligence becomes intelligent. And you then actually get the ability to decide what you want to do. And it's only by becoming aware of the gifts that you have that you actually gain the use of them. While you're ignorant of yourself, then you can't use your gifts. It's only when you bring them into conscious awareness do you gain the ability to use them.
Is there, in this world that we're in, it seems like there's a lot of what people call evil. Is that just a disconnect from spirit, or what's the cause of that?
Well, I think the closer you get to your source energy, the closer you get to love. And, I think it's important to look within yourself and feel that inner love, that inner joy, that inner bliss that you feel at these more subtle levels. And the more you look outside of yourself, you're almost looking, when you look within, you're looking towards the light, and when you're looking outwards, you're looking into emptiness, into the void, into darkness, if you like. And the more you're involved in the grosser aspects of your body and life, the more you're living your life in darkness and evil, if you want to use that term. But at the end of the day, good and evil are just a pair of opposites, like hot and cold, up and down, left and right. So they're all two ends of the same stick, if you know what I mean. It's just a degree that you're moving from one end of the stick to the other. And, duality exists in this physical reality, but when you go within yourself, you go much more into the oneness energy that connects everything.
Wow, I like that. That's good. I never thought of it that way. What role might the chakras play in our body, and can they be balanced or tuned?
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding your question. Were you talking about the chakras?
Do you work with the chakras? And
yes, indeed. I do indeed, and I see them in a very, very unique way as well, because you can imagine all your chakras open. You've got red as the base chakra. You've got in your abdomen area, you've got your sacral chakra, which glows orange. Your solar plexus, you've got your solar plexus chakra that sends out yellow energy. Under your heart, you've got your heart chakra that sends out green energy. In your throat area, you've got your throat chakra, again sending out blue energy. And on your brow, you've got your brow chakra, which is also your third eye, sending out a purple energy. And from your crown chakra, you receive in white light for the whole universe. But if you can imagine those chakras opening up and coming out like cones and crossing over each other, as they cross each other, they actually beautiful that they actually form all the colours of the rainbow, if you know what I mean. You know, where the red crosses the orange, and the orange crosses the yellow, and the yellow crosses the blue, and the blue crosses with the red. And, you know, you can imagine this mesh of different colours crossing each other. So, you know, any point in that array of energy around your body is like a radio tuner, and what it's doing is, you know, you've got frequencies of energy coming in from the universe, and where these two colours are crossing, where you get light energy, you know, it's like a radio tuner with a beat frequency that picks up the incoming wave and allows you to tune into that station. And you know, your chakras are like radio tuners tuning into the electromagnetic field that surrounds your body, and works as you know, radio tuners, which is why you can you know, have a non-physical conversation with someone just by their body language, by just the energy they're giving off. You know, you can walk in a room and you can feel the energy that's in that room without anyone saying a word. Because your chakras picking up on that energy, and each chakra does different functions. You know, your brow chakra would be dealing with the higher mind functions of things like clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience. Would have your powers of telepathy, deja vu, precognition, where your throat chakra would deal with your communication, your ability to use your voice box and talk, but also it has an influence, a connection to your sight, your hearing, your touch, your taste, your sense of smell as well. Your heart chakra is your feelings, and your feelings are actually connecting you to the finer layers of your physical existence. So your feelings connect you to your organs, your cells, your molecules, your atoms, your light body. You know, it's through your feelings you connect to these more subtle layers of your body. Your solar plexus chakra is your emotional center. I don't know if you've heard about the work of Dr. America, where he froze water and produced crystals. If you say nice words, you know, you get beautiful crystals. If you say nasty words or take nasty words, bottles of water, they produce deformed crystals. And, you know, considering the human body is 70 to 80% liquid, and your solar plexus chakra is actually the chakra that deals with all this liquid within your body, which your emotions, the emotions pass through the liquid in the body. Which is why, you know, at full moon people tend to get much more emotional, because the moon is influencing the physical body. You know, like the moon influences the tides, it's having an influence on the water within your body as well. Which is why, you know, you tend to get a lot of emotion and a lot of problems emotionally around full moon. And then your sacral chakra, that deals with your relationship. And, you know, you've got like little strings coming out of your abdomen that connects you to all your loved ones, all the people you've had relationships with. And a very good way of healing that area in your body is through forgiveness, because as you go, you know, a lot of people go through life blaming other people for the situation we're in now. And, you know, when you're blaming someone else, you're actually giving them power over you. You know, you're actually giving up your own power. You're actually projecting it to them, and but through forgiveness you can reverse that process. You can release that cord that connects you to that person, and by forgiving them you actually draw back the energy. You empower yourself, and which allows you to take personal control for your own life, and really, you know, it allows you to then choose and to create your own reality from within yourself through the power of forgiveness in relationships and with family members. You can also forgive yourself if you've hurt someone else as well, and have the same effect as well. And your base chakra, that tends to help to ground the physical body. It also helps to maintain the structure of the physical body. Again, so each chakra has its own role to play within the human consciousness, and each one's got its own speciality, certain diseases appear in these chakra areas, because wherever you've got a chakra, you've also got a gland as well, in the head. For your brow chakra, you'll have the pineal gland and the pituitary gland for the crown chakra, and the throat. So you've got a gland there, wherever there's a chakra, you've got a gland that's actually an energy center interpreting the energies that are coming in through that chakra and sending messages out into the chemistry of the body. So did that answer your question?
Yes. There's a lot going on in there. A lot of different ways to heal ourselves.
Well, exactly, yes, indeed. We're very multidimensional. I mean, the easiest way to heal myself, if one wants to do a self-healing on yourself, is just it just gives self-appreciation. One of my favorite, if you like, simple meditations to do is just visualize every cell in my body with a big smile on its face.
Oh, yeah.
And shaking hands with the cell next door and expressing love, and you can just thank all the healthy cells for the hard work they're doing to maintain health within your body. Especially thank the cells that do the cleaning up. That get rid of all the effluents and all the waste products and clear them out, because they're the most important cells, I feel, because they're the ones that take away the pollution and maintain a state of health within your body. So it's good just to thank them for the work they're doing and show appreciation to all the cells that make up your body and all the molecules and all the atoms. To feel these layers of energy sitting neatly one inside the other. Because you are very, very multidimensional. You're very multi-layered, different layers of energy, and those layers in your physiology also have different layers in your energy field around your body, the aura of the body. Because it's this aura, it's this energy field that is actually being interpreted by the DNA of the body. That electromagnetic energy, so that's sending the messages to your cells how to form and how to grow, and if you've got a strong energy field, then you've actually, and that's what a healer does when he gives healing. He doesn't really do anything other than just lay his hands on you and connects his energy to yours, and if you like, works as a battery charger and just charges up your energies. And meditation as well is a process by which that could happen. If you can imagine the word Om being repeated, just Om, Om, Om. It's very, very similar to someone with a bar of iron and a magnet in their hand. If you can just say Om and just imagine that bar of iron wiping along the side of a magnet wiping along the side of a bar of iron. Just going Om, Om, as you wipe along that, but very soon that bar of iron charges up and becomes a magnet itself, and this is what you're doing in your own consciousness. You're lining up all the individual atoms, and when they all line up, they actually start to create this charisma around the body, this very strong energy that appears around the body and causes the body to glow. Most religious photos show a halo around the saints and things like that, but all it is just energy being charged up to a very high level through a spiritual practice, which is as simple as stroking a magnet along the bar of iron. I mean, it's that simple, the process, which is just lining up all your atoms. So instead of being individual atoms, they become part of a coherent mass, and you then get coherent brain waves, you get coherent stuff, and that happens within you and also outside of you. And when you have coherent brain waves within yourself, then what you experience is synchronicity in life, where you find yourself just in the right place at the right time for something magical to happen in your life. You find the whole universe is coordinated to your desires, because when you've got this strong electromagnetic field, a strong charisma around your body, you actually have a tremendous influence around you as you walk down the street, anything negative is pushed away, anything positive is drawn to you. And, you know, when you fall in love, people talk about the magnetic attraction between the two people, you know. And I mean, love itself is a unique, you know, quality that is very difficult to put into words or experience, you know. But I do feel it's tied in with this very special energy that comes around you when you're feeling really good within yourself. And, have you got any more questions?
Is there addictions? Do they weaken the aura, which protects our body? Things like excessive use of alcohol and drugs.
Right. Well, I would say they would be quite disruptive to the natural coherence of the body. You know, when you use drugs and alcohol, I really feel the problem with them really is that they're very temporary and the effect. From my experience of doing long-term spiritual practice, I feel as though I can get a high, you know, equivalent to taking drugs, but just by looking within myself, you know, and charging up my own energies without taking any chemicals. But the beauty of doing it the spiritual way is that it stays with you for a lifetime. You know, once you are charged up, you do become like a magnet, and it's very difficult to break down that magnetism because it's almost self-repairing, as it were, because you know, the coherence is that strong within your physical body that the disruptive forces come in. You know, you get stress coming towards you. You can just switch off your awareness and move to a different level. Quite often, people that have lots of repeating strong negative thoughts, quite often as these thoughts are coming out, you actually feel twisting in your physiology when you get very powerful negative thoughts coming out. And if you take your awareness away from the meaning of the thought and just feel that twitching and allow that stress to come out of that area, you can release that stress much more easily than actually keeping your awareness, you know, worrying about the strong thought that you're experiencing, and you know, the different levels on which you can experience, you know, everything that happens in your body. And it's good to choose to experience things on many different levels and experience them in different ways. The more subtle level you can experience it on, I think, is the better. You know, I mean, the mind itself is quite a gross level. I think your feelings and emotions are much more connected to the universal life force, and you know, that you need to make a choice between what your intellect is telling you to do and what your feelings are telling you to do. I would say you're wiser to always go by your feelings and your emotions, because they are much more in tune with the universal life force and the oneness that, you know, energy and will have the support of the whole universe. So does that answer your question?
Yes, that's good. I like that. Is it possible to heal really severe illnesses such as cancer or AIDS?
Yeah, well, I've had that experience myself. You know, I hope this patient doesn't mind me mentioning it, but on one occasion I was invited to this person's house, and I was invited to dinner and wasn't really told why I was invited, but when I was having dinner I discovered that the wife of this person that invited me had got a brain tumour, and the brain tumour was in such a position that they couldn't actually operate on it without disabling the person, as it were. You know, it was so deep inside the brain that the operation was actually worse than the tumour, and the doctors didn't really know what to do about it. And I was asked to go there and give healing, and well, what happened was, you know, I gave this person healing, and he didn't hear any more of it until 3 or 4 months later, and anyway, what happened was that 2 months after I gave the healing, they went to another, scan of the brain, and when the brain was scanned, they discovered that, the cancer was completely cured and disappeared completely, and the operation wasn't needed at all, and it's very difficult to explain whether my healing was the source of the cure or not. But, it seems logical that it may have had an influence on it. I'm not claiming to be able to cure cancer, but at the same time, on that occasion, there was a cancer that was proved to be there, and 2 months later it wasn't there. And,
wow.
And, I really feel the healing was beneficial in that situation.
Oh, yeah. Now, you mentioned...
what I used to find at the Mind, Body, Spirit Purge, I used to treat people, and I still do, every 10 minutes work on a different person, and they really lie down, I use a massage couch and lie them down on a massage couch to give them the healing, and in that 10 minutes you find the person goes into like a trance, when I give healing, I go almost into a trance state myself, and what I find is I take people down into a very deep level of silence, and after just being on the couch 10 minutes, you've almost got to peel them off the couch because they've gone into such a deep state of relaxation, and you've got to hold them and steady them as they get off, because they can be a little bit disorientated. And but from the feedback I've had, even that just 10 minutes of touching someone can be quite life-transforming for them, and can shift energies in many different areas in their lives. The problem I have is that because the body is so multidimensional, and I'm working on so many different levels simultaneously, that I can't really pinpoint, exactly the influence I'm having. All I'm doing is charging up their energies, and at the same time, their own body's natural healing process will actually be what does the work over the next 2 weeks or a month period. Given that new shift in the electromagnetic field that they've received from being charged up by my energy field. So does that answer your question?
Yes, very good. You mentioned tapping into source energy, and I'm just wondering if some people, I don't know quite how to ask this question, but is that similar to creator or the God energy, or is there something like God energy that is accessible out there? Like, do you know what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah. Well, I would say it is exactly that. It is part of that eternal continuum. Quite often religion calls God eternal, and when you go into yourself, I teach a lot of guided meditations on my website. If you go on my website, which is www.healergeorge.com, and then look down the left-hand side, it will say Meditation CD. If you go to that page, and from there you'll see an option to go to the MP3 files.
Oh,
good.
About
15 to 20 different meditations there, each of which is between 20 minutes and an hour long, and they're varying lengths, and a lot of them are chakra meditations. So they do guide you to go into that silence, into your source energy. And when you follow one of these meditations what you find is that you lose all concept of time and space. Your body becomes completely weightless. You don't know where up is, you don't know where down is, you don't know where left and right is. You just feel like, almost like an orb yourself, like a ball of light just floating in the air. And what you've done is transcended your physical structure and allowed your awareness to join with this underlying field of just pure being.
Wow.
And it's an experience of just being one with the whole universe. You can be one with the whole universe, but as soon as you have a thought saying, I'm one with the whole universe, then that thought brings you back to a point, as it were. So, you really do need, and the process of meditation is not the process of trying, it's the process of relaxing and releasing and becoming whole again. you know, it's the opposite of putting effort into it. It's just a process, more of a process of letting go.
And is that where people can
also their awareness and expanding their being?
Can people find your book there too at www.healergeorge.com?
Yes, there's quite a lot of material on that side. You know, I actually have my own. I've done a few questions and answers radio type programs where I play some music and people phone into me and ask questions, and you know, there's quite a lot of good information. I've wrote over 150 different articles that there's links off the website to all my articles and things. It's a real, you know, minefield of information.
Yes, I checked it out, and there is quite a bit of wonderful information there. You have your own radio show, don't you?
Yes, that's right. I was asked by a radio station in the UK here to put a show on for them, and as part of that, they gave me the software to mix music with voiceover music and the jingle spots and all that stuff. So I've tried, experimenting with it, as it were. I wouldn't say technically I must have the standard that this radio show will be, but I do my best, as it were, and I'm learning all the time.
That's wonderful.
I feel as though I'm getting better at it, and the messages that are coming through, because when I tend to talk, quite often I'm channeling the universe through me, as it were. I don't claim ownership of the thoughts I'm giving out, because at the same time that there's a force beyond me that's larger than my intellect that comes to a point and comes out through my voice spots, and it could be guys. I had one guy come through to me called Suri when I was doing a meditation, and I was doing a meditation with a little girl in Austria, and this guy Suri came through, and it was quite interesting, the discussion that took place, because he then went on to say that his name is Sue, and the we is like Tai Chi. The chi in Tai Chi, or the ki in Reiki, it's like an energy. And I said, but why WI instead of TI in Tai Chi? And he says it's what he's bringing through is wisdom energy, which is why it's WI. And I thought it was quite interesting the way he was explaining the reason for that. So I've got this guy called Sui that comes through sometimes, and I channel him.
Well, George, I want to thank you for being with us tonight. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Indeed. Well, it's been a pleasure to be on your show, and thank you for all the wonderful questions and giving me the opportunity to share some of the knowledge that I've gained through my spiritual experiences.
And for our listeners, if you want to visit his website, it's www.healergeorge.com. And again, thanks, George. I appreciate it very much. It was a wonderful interview, and I wish you the best.
Indeed. Well, the people visiting the website, there is a link from there to my book, and there are links to all my articles. There's links to the radio show, and there's loads of guided meditations you can just download for free and listen to. So enjoy yourselves.
All right. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And good night, everybody.